You could be dissected in a very artful way.
Okay, the recording is on, Audacity is on, everything is fucking on. Let's start this show.
Let's get this show on the road.
Do you have any follow-up?
You have a follow-up.
I do have a follow-up. So, the last show and the show before that was about different shows, so Years and Years and Sarah's and My. They are not that mainstream. So I had one of our listeners telling us that we should tell the audience one episode before for them to have time to actually watch it. If it's not mainstream.
Okay. I thought the point was to try and do some stuff spoiler-free, and I don't think we can do any interesting analysis that are spoiler-free, right?
I think, yeah, that's not our show. Like, some shows do that, and, like, that's fine for them, I guess. But I don't think we have that kind of show where we can just say, oh, it was good, let's not do... And for me, also, like, spoilers are everything. Like, for me, saying that a show is good is actually kind of a spoiler. So...
I mean, you can't really talk about a show without delivering information. But with respect to the point of warning people up ahead, I guess this would just require us to get organized and have some kind of
schedule,
foresight of what we're doing before we're doing it.
Yeah, because I think we could do that. If we don't, like, actually we're doing one a month. I think we could actually like think about it a bit further. But like if we don't, maybe we could avoid like subject where like show are 90% of the subject, and we could just do a generic subject like today.
I mean, we could, but also we want sometimes to talk about lighter topics like, I don't know, shows, TV, books, whatever. And
we could have done, should have done for this episode. We can always change. It's not like put in stone. Do the banana art episode.
Wait, that's not an episode. That's at best a follow-up of Banksy.
Oh, but no, it was not the last episode. Okay, fuck. We could do okay.
If you're so excited, like, what do you have to say about the banana art?
Because I've learned a lot, because I was like, what is this shit? And then like I've actually like read a lot about it just to understand like what the fuck was happening. So in art, like okay. So the banana on the wall piece, you don't actually buy nor the duct tape nor the banana. You don't have that. You have a certificate that says that you have the right to put a banana with duct tape on the wall.
What happens if I put a banana with duct tape on the wall without certificate?
You can do that in your private house, but it's not like the artist's work.
Okay.
So, but like, okay. So let's digress a bit. But like, so I was like, is that the first time someone do that? And not like at all. Like, there's a huge trend, like in contemporary, not even contemporary art, like modern art, that is like called concept art. And concept art is all about the concept that you write on a certificate for like usually museum to do that. So when you go to like the Met or like the Pompidou Center in Paris or like that kind of museum, and you see like huge wall pieces that are like painted on the wall, the artist has never been in that fucking museum even. It's like they're following instruction that the artist put on a certificate. And like what the buyer buys, a certificate for people to be able to do, like to reproduce that. Or not even, like for example, like I discovered that Yoko Ono, you know, like the John Lennon,
okay, yeah,
like that Yoko Ono, is actually a really, really good like concept art artist and like super well known in the domain. Like I didn't know that at all. And I have a huge like appreciation for her work. Like it's like their rule. So you can't really buy like any certificate, like it's not like that. But it's just like book of stuff to do. So like the piece of art is just like scream at a wall, scream at your like cat, scream at a door.
Okay.
And like the thing is like you need to do that, and you've done like the piece of art that she had in mind.
Wait, so is the piece of art the recipe or the execution?
The piece of art is the execution. The artist is the creator of the rules.
That certainly raises a lot of interesting points about ownership and intellectual property.
The one that I really loved, like, not really conceptual, but I love the one that say like, play like that piece of like classical music with the sound of the wood at 8 a.m. And I just love the idea of like the sound of the wood at 8 a.m. and like just being just like background music for like the piece of other music that she wrote.
Mm-hmm. And she could have recorded that, right? But the fact that it's instructions, it makes it different and somehow a little bit live.
Yeah, and like the idea is not like, it's the idea of the, basically like she's doing the music, the abstract music perfectness of Forest Wood 8 a.m. She's not doing a recording of Forest Wood 8 a.m. It's like you need to do it at like the forest. You know what I mean? It's not about the recording. It's about like doing it.
But what you're gonna do is different from what she had in mind because she never listened to your forest.
I don't know if... Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. How does it differ from us having a conversation?
But it depends on the kind of, like, I feel like some conversation could be art. I mean, like, I'm more and more intrigued. Like, I'm watching more and more YouTube channel about art because I feel like I know nothing about it. And like this banana thing, like, just blew my mind. And I was like, I need to understand a bit more about like art. But like the banana piece, for example, like the actual artist was like, thanks for participating in Banana on the Wall. Like, I can't remember the name of the thing, but like, thanks in participating in, and like the name of the piece, which is fun because it means that like the actual critics of the piece for the artist was actually art piece and not the actual banana on the piece.
The thing is that like the banana, I would like to talk about the banana without removing all the money part.
In like when it was shown at like this art festival, not festival, but art exhibition thingy, like it was not like, it's a thing that happened like every year and blah blah, and like it was not worth 100K at that point. Like people like just showed and like everyone was like queuing to see that piece, and that's why it has arrived at that price.
And now it's ruined.
No, I think it makes the piece more interesting, to be honest.
Well, it makes another piece that is also interesting, but that's not the banana.
I would like the artist to have like this. He should have written like, the thing is like, it will be super popular. People will Instagram it, and people will queue for that shit and pay 200K for it. And that's the art piece. He should have written that.
Well, that would have been amazing. That would have been so great.
But that's what he's selling.
Okay, so maybe I didn't have the full context of the banana.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the banana thing, like just open a wide range of stuff.
I'd like to give a warm shout out to our sponsor, the solid state of matter. Have you ever thought, damn, this gas is taking too much space? Well, the solid state of matter is here for you. If you switch for free to our sponsor, we guarantee a higher density of matter, resulting in less wasted space. Pressure conditions may apply.
By the way, we've been talking about it, and I finally decided to not wait for you and try No Man's Sky.
Yeah, you made the right choice. I have no computer to play that game, and I have no money to buy a new computer, so clearly a good choice.
I guess part of me remembered that you don't have a gaming computer anymore.
Yeah.
The result is I'm having quite a good time with it. I'm liking it a lot. And
how long have you played?
A lot more than I would care to admit, because I don't know if I'm really bad at this game or I misset up the difficulty or anything else, but it feels like a basic survivor. It feels a lot like Starbound, like you gather your stuff and build a little base, but somehow a lot harder. Like I keep dying and resetting the progress, because when you die you lose your whole inventory and there is not really chests. So it feels like a very challenging survival kind of thing.
Okay.
But at the same time, not annoyingly challenging. Like I never got frustrated. I always wanted to, like, you can you can basically go back to the point you were quite easily. And I'm pretty sure there is modes where you can make it easier.
But that's insane. Like that's very very good because making a hard game while making it not frustrating is like very very rare.
Well, maybe it's just hard because I suck. That's like I feel like I'm doing things wrong. But to answer your initial question, I think I played around 40, 50 hours.
Okay, so that's quite a bit.
Yeah, but I've only barely scratched the surface, which is like the thing that's scaring me. Like I just managed to build my first chest.
Your first chest?
But they make the chests really late in the game.
So wait, you don't have a spaceship yet?
No. You have a spaceship right away. Well, pretty much right away.
You have a spaceship and you don't have a chest?
Yeah. Chests are really scarce in that game. So this game has, like, I didn't expect it, but it has a strong inventory management component because you're very tight for space and there's a lot of elements in nature.
So how do they do the element? Like, is there a limit number of elements, or because there's unlimited worlds, there's no limit?
No, I think there's a limited number of elements, and I think in the end it's probably pretty limited. Like, I don't think the planets are that much radically different from each other or the life forms or something like that. I don't think it can keep me entertained forever, but it can keep me entertained for a surprisingly long amount of time.
But is there any like different biotope? Like all the planets are the same?
No, so all the planets have their own fauna and flora, like different plants and different animals.
All the planets are alive? Meaning like having life in it?
No, I don't think so. But I think that, I mean, you can only be so different, right? There is always like the oceans, that like tree kind of things, bushes kind of things that walk on four legs.
But I don't know, like does the life form always use like water and oxygen, or like is a life form working on like sulfur and whatever? But I mean, like if you always go to a planet and like you always have like mammals, like it's a bit sad.
Sure, but the mammals could be like laying eggs or whatever, and you don't really see the difference because you don't spend like a lot of time in analyzing their life cycle.
Yeah, okay. Like the aim of the thing is really not like the actual life form.
Maybe I should just spend more time watching. Well, actually, you say that, but there is like a photo mode, and they're trying to make a Pokemon Snap out of it. Like there is missions, like take 5 pretty pictures, whatever. So my main impression after playing No Man's Sky is that the whole development was a big misunderstanding, because when I play, I get the game they were trying to do, and I think it's a very nice game that I like a lot, but it's completely different from what people understood from the trailer.
So what is the game and what was like?
So the game is like Starbound. You know Starbound. So how can I describe this for listeners? Is a lot like Minecraft. It's you have a server with 1 or 2 friends, like small multiplayer. You build your base and expand it and customize it a little bit, discover new stuff, explore new stuff, improve your base, etc. And people really latched on when the trailer went out to the infinitely procedurally generated multiplayer giant space battles or whatever, and I don't feel like that's what they signed up for delivering at all. So it's a game that is like at its core it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same principle as a like surviving game.
Essential gameplay as Minecraft, and you wouldn't expect Minecraft to be an MMORPG.
Okay. But it is an MMORPG?
Well, no, there is. So after like all this backlash and the years of development, there is an element of multiplayer, but it's still very much like Minecraft or Starbound. So there is a nexus where you can meet other people that you don't know and invite them to your universe. All your discoveries are shared through a global database. So when you discover a planet, you upload it to the database, and sometimes you go to planets that have been discovered by other people or named by other people. and you get points for discovering stuff. But I mean, it's nice, it's cute. I don't. Well, it's certainly maybe one of the main point of the game, but it's not by essence multiplayer designed. It's more like people. It's designed like a Maxis game, like a Sims game, or maybe more likely Spore. I think about Spore a lot, where you do your creation and upload it to the catalog for other people to share. And so, if you're expecting a multiplayer game, yeah, there's a lot of miscommunication around that.
Okay, I'll let you introduce the subject because you voted.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So you can do it.
Topic to introduce, I guess, right? So let's say, like, I can phrase it very easily and we can see how the conversation goes from there. I was thinking about all the user interfaces changes and all the design changes and maybe gentrification in the grander scheme of things, but let's stick to UI. All the UI changes that we see around ourselves, and I'm like thinking, is this permanent or is this a fad? Like, is this leading somewhere or is it like a trend effect? And so my question, the question I'd like to start with is material design like a fashion trend that will go away in 10 years? Or is this an evolution towards the natural order of things, let's say, in order to find the interface that fits the best the human psyche?
Okay, just before starting, we need some disclaimers. So Yoann works for Google, which does the material design guidelines, and I work for a company that is heavily linked to the iOS ecosystem that does not use material design guideline. We can start.
Okay, so maybe I'm misspeaking. So when I say material design, I just talk about the idea of having a lot of wasted space, everything be white and...
Yeah, but that's but that has been created, and
well, iOS does the same, right? Even if you don't call that material design, the spirit of it, it's not radically different.
They're a bit different for many reasons, and I think material design is interesting for many other reasons. And I think
okay, so I don't know the difference between material design and the iOS version. So I was not talking about specifically material design conventions.
I know you want to talking specifically, but I think we need to talk a bit specifically because that can change the actual debate. If I understand well, like, so before starting the actual conversation, we need to like put the base. For you, material design is just like design today. So white, mainly white, no actual button, like super flat, and what? And big text?
Very few, a lot of empty space.
Okay.
How do you say? Yeah, how to phrase that?
Okay, a lot of. Okay, so yeah, that's
sparse information, low information density.
Low information density. Okay, so that's also true for Apple. The only big differences that I wanted to make and that I feel like is interesting is that in material design, there's a sense of dimension that doesn't exist in Apple. Meaning, the sense of dimension is if you put an object on another object, the actual other, like the top object, casts a shadow automatically. And that is skeuomorphic as shit, meaning like you think the UI as actual objects that you put on a 3D surface. And even if that changes the last guideline of Google, the base of material design is that like it's material, like stuff that you put on a screen is matter that you put on it and reflect stuff. And why is that interesting is that it marks, like we went from what we call nowadays like brutalist design, which is just like text and like just like weird, not weird, but like just very easy plastered stuff. So we went from that, which is we don't know how to use computer, like it's new, it don't have a lot of power, so we can't put like a lot of picture and blah blah. To skeuomorphic, like, oh, we have power, like, let's put, like, real stuff, like, oh, your desktop is actual desk.
Well, it was the early days, so it wasn't really thought of, right? It was more emerging.
Yeah. Then we do, like, skeuomorphic, so let's everything looks like real world. So like a block note is an actual block note and blah, blah. And material design comes after that. So basically it's still from skeuomorphic to material. Like there's a weird space of like skeuomorphic is a bit shitty. Let's remove that. But also let's remove that completely. And then Google decided to like put shadow again and put stuff like that again to have a sense of like of matter basically. While Apple went a bit the other way. They're like skeuomorphic is shit. Let's remove it as well. But let's put no shadow whatsoever. Let's put everything flat.
Is there a name for the Apple version?
I think it's flat design.
That rings a bell.
I don't know. I'm not a designer, so I have no like. I'm talking about stuff that. Yeah. Also, disclaimer: I don't know shit. Like maybe 95% of the stuff that I'm saying is completely false.
we should record that as like the intro for our podcast because that's true every time. But yeah, well, you certainly know a lot more than me. I didn't know any of these words.
Yeah, so the only thing, so why is that all that story is interesting is not like, ooh, like that would be different. My thinking about that question is I do feel that we're going somewhere close. We are moving forward something in UI and UX. We're moving like forward. We're progressing. We're making better stuff. But there's some fashion trend.
Yes.
And the fashion trend is that kind of shit.
What kind of shit?
Like the fashion trend is like, are we the actual trend that is following and then there's a deeper question, or is it like close to our human brain, blah, blah, blah. Is I think because now we're so much focusing on UX, much more than UI.
So UX is user experience and UI is the interface itself.
And so what I'm saying is like, because now UX research and UX design is so much important than UI, and UX research actually trying to understand how the human brain works for the interface to make to demand the least cognitive effort ever. So yeah, so we're moving toward design and like user experience that are very close to how the human brain works, meaning use less cognitive resources.
Okay, so when I think about that, it always comes to mind like the trends in, I don't know, clothes fashion or architecture or something like that, and how during the 20th century there was like, I know nothing about that, but like there were fashion fads, etc. But so you're saying that contrary to these fashion fads, the UX as a whole has self-aware research designed to optimize for one goal, so it's going in one direction.
Yes, but you could say that more and more, like, well, in anything, because like anything has for more and more research, like even fashion do market research and blah blah.
Yes.
But the only difference is like fashion do market research just to know like what you like, and what you like is, it's not optimizing for like the human brain, just optimizing for what's new. But well, it's optimizing for what's new, not for what's good for your brain. So your brain like new, it's optimizing for that. But what's new is like what you forgot what was old 50 years ago. But what's very close to actual UX and UI is architecture. So architecture, I feel like, have the same thing of architecture can be...
But architecture has like cycles and trends that come and go and like don't really go towards a point.
Yes and no. Because like architecture is also... So I don't know, like I know a bit, but not that much about architecture. But like architecture is also a mean to an end. It's designing a way of life. And when you say, like, when we were talking about Brutalist website, like when you see Brutalist architecture, which is like all the shit in Paris suburbs, like the actual like concrete building, or you are like the old Russian block, not Russian, URSS block, all that like
USSR
concrete building, that's Brutalist like it's called Brutalist architecture, and it had a view on how people should live. Like it should be, there's a sense of community, and like they need to be close to each other, and there's like function over design. It needs to be very functional. It doesn't need to be beautiful. So it has And right now, it needs to be green. It doesn't need to use energy. People needs light. And like the thing is, it's now architecture is actually thinking about what's good for human, which is like basically social life, health, and easy, like, yeah, just like mental health. And so we're designing better building and better structure to do like a better life.
Okay, so it changed because the meta parameters of the system changed. Like they were not optimizing for the same thing. So maybe in the future, like the the world changes, and then architecture will not be optimizing for mental health anymore, and will have a different fad then.
Yeah, yes.
And that could be the same for UX. Then you won't want to optimize for mental load, but for something else, the next big craze. So external constraints, the world changes, and external constraints put some pressure on the goal and shift the goal, and that makes sense. But so is this optimization? Yeah, I don't know. And I guess, are these people gonna change? Like, is there ever gonna be a focus away from decreasing cognitive load or something like that?
I think the thing is, like, because now, well, big company like Google, Apple, etc. base their UI and UX on actual cognitive research, so on actual like scientific paper and research. Cognitive research can be very wrong sometimes on what you're focusing on with your eyes. We're quite there. I think what will I think what will change a lot is the actual medium. So yeah, flat design will die with AR glasses.
Yeah, okay, that's okay.
But wait, okay. I feel like I missed the question completely.
Well, let's take a break and come back. Today's sponsor is rubidium. Rubidium is the chemical element of atomic number 37. It's widely known for being the first not really well-known alkali and for giving the color purple to some fireworks.
So during the break, I thought about something that I didn't thought before, which is like there's a new paradigm, a completely new paradigm on iPad to transform the iPad into an actual like working thing. Like that's their aim, to be able to work on an iPad. And I've tried to use my iPad that way, like with the new iOS that like push that kind of use. And it's a completely different paradigm than on the Mac.
Mm-hmm. And the Mac is also designed to work on it, right?
Yeah. Well, it's more a working device than anything else. But the iPad is not, and like they're pushing that, and that use with interactive design. And what I'm thinking is, why do they do that? Is because the new generation is way more used to a gesture-based interface than our generation. So it's very big with university students. And the thing with university students is they're gonna be real adults after that, and they want to use some things that they use for the last 4 years, which will be iPad. And what's interesting in that is the old computer way is not really like gesture based; it's really clicking based.
It's mouse based, yeah.
Yeah, and the iPad OS is very much like gesture based. Like, okay, put your 3 finger there and 1 finger there and it does something. It's not discoverable at all. Like, you can't discover that shit if you didn't watch a tutorial. But yeah, so I think it's also moving with like generation based and what.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying before the break about the affordances of the medium, right? Because we had to use mouse and keyboard, we did things a certain way. Now we have mostly touch interface, so we're doing things a different way. And who knows what's coming next.
Yeah, but also what's interesting about like the other subject of reversing the human brain is that the human brain of the new generation, so generation whatever Z, Y, X, I, like the new generation, is that like brain are a very flexible little things. And when at 3, like at Christmas, there was this like 3-year-old kid, my little cousin. He was playing on the phone at 3 years old. No problem whatsoever. He could use the phone perfectly, play the little game perfectly. like no problem whatsoever. And this little guy brain at like 10 years old will be completely different than my brain. Not completely, but like a lot.
Yeah, so we're optimizing for something that's changing. Yeah, so what I'm hearing here is even if you have a goal, like a teleological, like a goal-based vision, and like you're moving towards a goal, you still have these kind of fads or like trends, fashion trends to you can have things that movements that can be seen as fashion trends because the goal you're optimizing for may be a moving target.
Yeah, it's a moving target. It's just because we're not fixed, basically. Like, we can reverse engineer the brain as much as we want. The problem with the brain is it's flexible for like with experiences. And you can't reverse engineer like the experience. Well, you can, but like it's very yeah.
So you don't think that lowering the information density, for example, to take one example among many, is the absolute way that the future is going to go necessarily?
I don't think so, because like I don't like now that I was saying that, like I think like 20 minutes before, but I actually don't think so, because there's this really cool research about gamers and how they can follow way more points on a screen than non-gamers without any more like mental load. So basically there's like moving bubbles on the screen and you need to follow them and count them. And non-gamers have like a very low score on that, like it's very hard for them, but gamers are very high, as high as the people in the army watching radar, and like basically it's their job to follow stuff on the screen for hours and hours. They have the same scores, and so if little kids are playing now with games at 3 years old, maybe their cognitive, like they can actually have more information on the screen. Maybe they don't need that very low density of information. I don't know.
And then you can put more ads.
And you can always put more ads as so basically so I think we need a bit of a conclusion about like UI UX and reverse engineering the brain, which means that I think what we saw is we're right now, and I think the trend will continue in UX, is to be closer to how the human brain works. The thing is, this is a moving target because
it's like we can always be closer to the human brain works, but that doesn't give you a goal. The goal is to lower cognitive load, right?
So there's two goals: to limit cognitive load. Let's say that, because your brain wants.
I mean,
that.
you could be closer to the human brain and increase cognitive load in the most efficient way.
Okay. So let's say to reduce cognitive load. The thing is, it's a moving target because how you use your cognitive load and how your brain use your cognitive resources are different based on like what you experience in your life. Okay, so that's approximately what's happening. Now, if like what you were saying offshore is that maybe you can push that into pop music.
Well, yeah, I mean, is it like it's the whole thing? Like trends and fashion crazes or whatever are not like particular to computer and technology, right? This is just one example, but another interesting example is music genres and music fads. And when I listen to pop music especially, that feels like it's designed specifically by people to be easy listening. And you know, these very famous YouTube videos that say like all songs are with the same 4 chords or something like that. I keep wondering, like, is this like in some way reverse engineering the human brain to find like the songs that ticks the buttons of everyone? Or is it a fad?
I think I don't know. I see what those pop music. Was pop music always like? I mean, like disco was pop music before, no? Was like popular music, and it's not the same as like.
Yeah. When did pop music as a thing start?
But
disco was certainly filling the place of pop music at some point.
Yeah, and now like hip hop does, no?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Like hip hop is the first genre I listen anywhere, basically, like France and like US and UK. Pretty much everywhere.
Let's-
Don't need to
Let's
use a
stick
country.
to what we know, BTS.
Let's stick with BTS and One Direction. But
BTS is not on the hip hop fad, that's for sure.
that is for sure. No, but I do think you have a point. I do think that the same as we've said for interfaces, it's a moving goal. Meaning, there's this really cute research that, like, you know, because I've told you like 10 times, because I find that research like the cutest thing ever, about the baby, not the baby, like the fetus after they have an ear and they can understand what people are saying, but like still in utero, like listening to their mom playing the harp, and then when they're when they're born, the harp make them sleep, but for example, I don't know, heavy metal doesn't. Not even heavy metal, like rap or like other classical music, like make them be awake. And what's really cute, if it's like another mother have a fetus, she's a singer in a heavy metal band, and like it's the exact opposite. So if she plays heavy metal, the baby sleep. If she play harps or like other stuff, like the baby wake up. And what's interesting in that is that you can actually see habituation of different sounds, and that works perfectly with like speaking to the baby. So the father voice the baby recognizes as well when he's born. I wanted to say wake up, but what's interesting in that is like is that you get habituation on different sounds. And I think that like the sounds that surround you for one generation are pretty much the same. Like you have the same music, you have the same kind of like motor on the street, you have the same kind of sound environment. And maybe like pop culture, and like more so for K-pop group and J-pop group, because it's a bit more... and even like no pop group like One Direction, like the very institutionalized, like the artists are very much like interpreters, not like singers, not really artists. For those, I feel like they are trying to go very close to like your habituation level, for it not to do something weird with your brain, like for it not to be shocking at all.
Yeah, probably like the threshold of habituation and like new experience to find this sweet spot that works. So time changes circumstances, that changes people, that changes the goal, and optimizing for the goal creates fads, and that's how the world works.
And for music, it's really fun because there's literal like nice research again that shows like how many times you need to put a track on radio for people to get habituated to it, for people to like it, even if it's a bullshit track.
Yes, I mean, I'm pretty sure that UX will have the same treatment in like 20 years. Maybe music is like that because the music industry is a big thing that's been around for a long time. But it's always kind of fascinated me when you hear like this cheap sounding pop music of like stuff that's obviously mass produced. And somehow, like, you can say on an artistic point of view, okay, sure, they don't have, from a certain point of view, they don't have the value of heartfelt songs or like a true work of art or whatever. But there's still like a lot of work that goes into reverse engineering the human brain enough to know what makes people tick, and in a way that's kind of like beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think it's a artistic endeavor. In One Direction, I'm pretty sure that like the five of them won't say that like it was art. The director would say it was art. The producer won't say it was art. The engineer artist, like the engineer sound singing, like I'm pretty sure no one in the whole thing would say that it is art.
But what about me?
Yeah, but you're not in the whole thing. You're just a recipient for it.
What? Recipients are in the whole thing. I would argue that I'm the main author of the One Direction work of art.
Yeah. So you, yes. Yeah, but like that's actually, I think like if you go one meta up anything, it can become performance art.
Yes.
Which is like,
that's my life.
Yeah, like, yes. But you don't even need to go that deep in the meta level. Like just one is enough.
Yeah.
Actually. Which is okay, fair.
Should read Baudrillard.
So this is a performance art podcast. We're not like you're part of the experience, you're part of the art. The actual thing is not the podcast in itself. Like who the fuck cares of what you're talking about? this is just to waste time for our two listeners.
As it's a work of art, performative, and by essence live and involving the listener, this is obviously an interactive conversation, so feel free to leave all of your feedback and messages and whatever, really anything that crosses your mind, to our Gmail or Reddit or Twitter.
And share it with your friends.
And share it with your friends. So it's Not Daily Podcast at all of these things. And thank you for being part of this great work of art that we're all building. Not day after day, but like episode after episode.
Bye.